Ever go into a store that has things that you like and it has a lot of them and you walk in and you're like, I want to see everything, but I don't know where to even begin to start because you're just so
Yep.
overwhelmed?
My average Buc-ee's experience. Yes, it's
Bucky's, like, educate me. What's Bucky's?
oh my gosh. No, we're not talking about music. We're talking about Buc-ee's. It's a gas station. It's a gas station, but it's like the gas station from heaven. You've got to, okay, where are you based?
I'm just outside I'm like 20 minutes outside of New York City.
Okay, so
I'm
you're
in New
too far
Jersey,
north.
really.
Okay, okay, got you, got you. When you come to Texas, and you will come to Texas, whenever you come to Texas, hit up Buc-ee's. It's the greatest place on earth. Your listeners that know really, really know, and they're nodding their head yes with me, going, yeah, Buc-ee's is the greatest place. It's like a gas station on steroids. It's fantastic. They've got fudge, they've got barbecue, they've got, it's like 6 or 7 times the size of an average gas station. They have what are called beaver nuggets. It's like little, think like tiny Cheetos that are sweet, and it's amazing. Please, please come to Buc-ee's. But like the experience of walking into a store for the first time and going, where do I even start? Do I go get the fudge? Do I go get the barbecue? Do I go get the merch? Do I look at like what novelty energy drinks you have? Like, where do I even begin? I associate that with Buc-ee's.
Bucky's. I'm gonna have to. Like now, if there's nothing else that I do in Texas, it's
I'm
definitely
telling
check
you,
out a Bucky's. Is that just a Texas thing, or are they
it's
just
all
down
over the
south?
South.
Is it
It's,
down?
but it's probably where the Texas magic feeling for you comes from. It's like, there's something interesting. Well, it's Buc-ee's.
It's
That's the
Bucky's that's
interesting thing.
calling me.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Well, that feeling that you get when you go to Bucky's is pretty much me right now with you,
Hmm.
because there's so much that I kind of want to get to and around that I'm like, I don't even know where to begin or start. It's just so much,
Hmm.
particularly because when we originally said, oh, we're going to do this today, I was like, okay, so I knew your stuff, familiar with most of this stuff. And then you released the album on Friday. So I'm like, obviously, I got to check it out, start listening to it. And I'll be honest, I've been started with the first. I don't want to look too much into it. I don't want to just put it on casually, listen to it, and
Great.
don't, because I'm an overthinker and I start overthinking everything. So I'm like, no, just let it play in the background. I was like, man, I'm hearing little things here that are calling me. All of this to say that here we are on Monday, and I am thinking there's just so much to unwrap in this album. There is so much in it that
Yeah.
it's like I still don't believe that I fully grasp it myself completely. Like
Hmm.
3 days hasn't given me enough time to fully grasp it. And I've listened to it numerous times, both
Dude.
casually, intently, just, as music, as lyric, as production. I've listened to it in every which way you could think of. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe it is I just listen to it in too many forms and there's so much in it that I don't even know how or where to begin. So how are you feeling about it?
Man, well, first, thank you for your time. For your listeners who don't know, Atlas is a 72-minute long record, and I think you're a madman for listening to it once, let alone multiple times. So thank you. Genuinely, I hope you enjoyed it at the very least. For me, it's for sure a mix of emotion. It's been 2 years of intense work on it, and it's thoughts and dreams that have been in the motion for about 6 years. And so this weekend was huge for me. Really, really excited, really, really nauseous, and just enjoying. It's been a sweet time to hear people kind of listen on that surface level, because I hope it's good on a surface level. But I also hope that when they mine deeper, there's little nuggets of truth that they can find that they can be encouraged by as well. So yeah, it's definitely been an adventure of a weekend for sure. And yeah, I could definitely attest to there's a lot going on in this record. It definitely makes the most of its runtime, which for an album that's like, about 7 years long, that's an intimidating thing. Uh, yeah, I made the most of my eternity of a runtime, but I think it did. And I'm really hopeful that I was able to squeeze every bit of encouragement and edification that I could out of that thematic orange, if you will, because the concept, there is a lot that can be said about specifically the tension that exists between our responsibility and God's sovereignty. And it's a very confusing and existential place to live that Jesus asks us to live today before eternity. So hopeful that I was able to, at the very least, create smiles, but on even further, actually edify God's people a little bit.
It strikes me as an album that it's almost like scriptures in the way that you can hear it a million times and it'll tell you one thing, and one day it suddenly ignites an entirely different thing. Or it could be also one of those like, I know what it's saying, but I don't quite get it.
Mhm.
But I can tell that at some point it is going to be that's what
Mhm.
that is. And so I think personally, I'll be listening to this album quite a bit, I think, for
Man,
a while, because there is a lot in it. Musically, I'm a big fan of music. I'm a big fan of production. That's what one of the first things that got my attention from you was your production, by the way.
thanks, man.
Your
Wow.
production into music is like I'm a production nerd when it comes to that stuff. So I'm
Let's
like,
go.
the one ding of a triangle in the fourth verse, I'll hear it and be like, wow, that was cool. I wonder why they put it there. And that, like, I nerd out that way. So I
We would be
appreciate
friends.
all that stuff you do with all the production. That's why I was all over the place with it, because the lyrics, the production, I'm like, I don't know what to listen to. ADD 100% kicked in on that. Now, I will say, I thought I had heard, or you may have mentioned at some point, this is at one point was called Ghost 2. It's a
I addressed
conclusion of
it
it.
as Ghost 2, and the reason why it wasn't ever going to be released as Ghost 2, but it might as well be called Ghost 2. For your listeners that don't know, this is the third in a series of albums. It just tells the same story that I picked up in 2021 with my first record, Children of the Burning Heart, continued in 2023 with my record Ghost, and Atlas is part 3. And so it's a de facto sequel to my record from 2 years ago. Picks up a lot of the same themes, a lot of the same ideas, makes a lot of the same allusions that Ghost did. It's interesting about, there are a lot of things that are interesting about that, is that you can establish some kind of continuity. You can kind of introduce a concept in that record and pick it back up in this one and go, well, I'm just going to use that as shorthand to talk about this particular struggle. Like an example would be the ghosts in my record 2 years ago, where the way that I described how the world, the flesh, and the enemy try and lie to us and tell us that Jesus isn't who he says he is, and we aren't who he says we are. Ghosts not being demons themselves or spiritual forces of darkness themselves, but ghosts being lies. How many times am I believing a lie? And so a lot of times on Atlas, the ghosts come back up again. It's like, man, I believe a lie that I am utterly self-sufficient and don't need God. I believe that I'm utterly self-sufficient and don't need people. I believe that people are dangerous and ought to be avoided. I believe that my emotions determine my reality and I can listen to them. Those are all ghosts, but my album Ghost, hopefully, I hope, set the groundwork to be able to mine those topics a little bit deeper this time around.
So if you were to put the stories in, I guess, summary
Hmm.
of first, second, and third, what's the overall story that you
Hmm.
would say?
This series concerns itself with how do we love the Lord with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our mind, and with all our strength. And so you can kind of see where things are going. Children of the Burning Heart asks, how do we love the Lord with all our heart? How do we exchange our heart of stone for a heart of flesh? And the answer is ultimately we can't. That has to be Christ's work. And not only is he going to give us a heart of flesh, he's also going to give us a comforter in the Holy Spirit that sets our heart metaphorically aflame. That impacts our emotions. That impacts how we encounter trial. It encounters everything. We're on the way. We're ready to go. I feel like the SpongeBob meme. I'm ready. I'm ready. And then you're hit with deception that shows up in the world around us. The world doesn't like that. My flesh doesn't like that. The enemy doesn't like that. How do we love the Lord with all our mind then? When our minds are accosted by deception and lies. That's what Ghost tried to answer. Ghost is, how do we love the Lord our God with all our mind? And so ultimately, Ghost tried to say that the ultimate solution that will beat a lie is always going to be the truth. Christian, study the truth. Love the truth, seek the truth, because you'll find the truth, and understand that truth is a person and his name is Jesus. Understand that Christ's work on the cross purchased your ability to even find the truth, Christian. Love the Lord your God with all your mind by seeking the truth. But then ultimately, once we know the truth, how do we function in light of it? And that's where Atlas comes in. How do you love the Lord your God with all your strength? Atlas is about the struggle for meaning in light of the truth. Okay, I know what's true and I know what's not. but I'm tired. I know stuff in my head. I want to make sure I know stuff in my heart as well. How do you get there? It comes by experience. It comes by boring, mundane obedience that God uses to change the lives and hearts of his people. Not that we're earning anything. We can't, but we do have to live the miracle that Jesus does inside of his people. And so that's what Atlas is all about. Ultimately, we are landing the plane on how to love the Lord your God with all your soul. I saved it for last.
Did you plan all this out, or did it just organically happen? Like, did you plan, like, I'm going to do 3 albums that'll tell 3 different stories, or how did that come about?
I started this whole process in 2019. It's been a long time of dreaming and hoping. I knew that I wanted to make something expansive. I knew that I wanted to um, base it on the love of God. Ultimately, how I got there, I would figure out in later years. I wasn't like June 2019. I know for sure that I'm going to do Atlas in July 25. No, I had some life to live first, but at the same time, there was a lot of planning from the onset. Also, a lot of this is pretty reactive storytelling. I share about experiences in my own life that inform how I deal with the subject matter of my album. It's the grace of God that any of these records are somewhat cohesive in so many ways, and I don't know why he's chosen to make them so, but I'm definitely excited to get the chance to be able to pursue that theme, that kind of North Star of Atlas's theme being lay down the planets, pick up your cross. Stop jacking with the stuff that you can't control, Christian. Stop jacking with the stuff that is completely, totally out of your hands. Stop trying to determine your own destiny. You can't do that. Stop trying to determine your reputation. You can't do that. Stop trying to change the circumstances. You, to an effect, can't really do that. Obey normally, obey consistently, obey lovingly. That's stuff that can change the world. And you don't understand that. Pick up your cross. Stop being so concerned with the stuff that you can't control that you are unable to engage with the things that you can. Chasing that North Star of a theme over the last 2.5 years, and just making notes of my own personal life was the plan. It was the plan because I knew that whatever I'd say it with my chest. It was a way to go, hey, this is a lesson I learned the hard way. You guys want to hear it? I don't look very good after it, but that doesn't really matter. I want you to be edified. So I don't know if that answers your question at all. There's some planning, but also like I am a human being certified, and not everything goes to plan.
Yeah, it definitely answers the question. It's like, I know I'm going north, but I don't know where I'll end up exactly once I get north.
Right.
Couldn't tell you exactly when I started coming across your music, but I will say it played a very instrumental part of this station to begin with.
Goodness.
It definitely played an instrumental part of this station. I will dare say a lot of your singles were the very first songs to be played on the station, part of that
Dude,
first library that launched the station.
so honored.
And I knew your music that way, and I like, again, the lyrics, the production. So, but I never really listened to album track 1 to track 10,
Yeah.
or to whatever track, like Atlas has 20. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
which when I saw it, I was like, whoa, wow, okay. All right, let's dive in. But what it did inspire, knowing that it was kind of a part 2, so it's like, okay, let's go back and listen to that one. And now the songs that I knew of Ghost, that not in a full story kind of a way, suddenly begin to have a different life to them, which is why I was saying, like, you go back to it and it's like, wow, now it suddenly makes a whole other different sense of what I thought it did initially. And it helped me back then with this. Now I'm seeing it in a whole different light. It's the same song, but when you see it as a whole. So I think that if you haven't listened to the earlier albums, highly suggest you do. Um, Now my question for you is, particularly with Atlas, I know you started doing beats and stuff like that when you were young with the iPad. I've read
Yeah.
the story about that stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll put it in the analogy that I have for radio. When I first started doing radio, you start getting into it and you start learning it and you start looking at what that you have a certain mentor or an idol or somebody that you emulate,
Uh,
and start saying, "Oh, that's what I want to do." And you start doing that, and it isn't until later in your career, if you ever, that people find out to say, I don't need to be a copy of him. I need to be me. And that's the
wow.
hardest thing to do. And to not, you may have some influences from the other person, but not entirely replicate that person. Your music is definitely one that if somebody were to ask me, who do you think inspired that? I wouldn't begin to know
That's
who to
hysterical. Wow.
say what influence it has. So if you had an influence to begin with, who was it and how did you break away from it? Do
Wow.
your own sound because you have a very unique individual sound.
That's a tremendous question. Thank you, first of all. There's a lot of really kind words in there that I do really appreciate. And just because it's unique doesn't mean it's good. I will say it's like, ain't nobody doing this. They're not doing it for a reason. But also, it is genuinely kind, and I hope you know how much I appreciate it. I've had many, so many influences. And I think that Atlas is definitely a case of borrow from anybody, borrow from everybody. You're not stealing from anybody. There's so many influences that went into the Atlas project. And even just my discography, I would think that like probably the Ghost album was the one where I kind of broke the doors off the hinges and was like, okay, I'm just operating as Sam. And there are some things that I do that not everybody else wants to do, probably for some good reasons, but I really like doing it because I'm me. That's kind of that moment of like, haha, I'm an individual, and I make little sparkles around the word individual. Atlas, I mean, good gosh, anyone from Porter Robinson to Jeremy Zucker to Red to Madian to Alineium to who else? I'm pulling up the track list because if I look at the songs, I'll know who I was inspired by. Cody Fry, good grief.
Okay.
Huge inspiration for this album because Atlas thinks it's a movie. It's the best and worst thing about the album, without question, is that Atlas thinks it's a movie. And so Cody Fry, obviously, even a Michael Giacchino, I think really informed how this record was made. Goodness, what else? Persephone's definitely got Alan Walker vibes. That was really fun. Some of this new school drum and bass kind of vibes definitely felt here. I think among the musical influences, Porter was one of the biggest ones. Porter Robinson, just he's amazing and everything he touches turns to gold. I don't even know where I got the idea to do spoken word. I just like doing it. There's that spoken word track at the end that's very dear to my heart. I just blame it on Carmen because it's very funny. I would say if there's any one like person that really inspired Atlas that rises to the surface, I'd say Christopher Nolan,
Christopher Nolan.
who is a director and not a musician. He's known for films like Inception and Interstellar. And I would say his work in storytelling and chronology and making stuff look cool and mean something totally inspired how this record works. And he is 100% not a musician, um, but highly influenced by um, his work this time around. Obviously, you can't talk about Chris Nolan without talking about Hans Zimmer. And I think that Hans is also, he makes his presence felt. I think the last thing I'd say to this point is I have 6 friends that are on this album. Dear friends of mine that I've gotten to produce for/with for years now. All of them are a massive inspiration to me. I was just talking to one of them yesterday and I said, look, I mean, you featured on this song, but I hope you understand that your greatest contribution to this album was totally not your voice. It was your mentorship, your friendship, your encouragement. I am a human person and I need that encouragement to fuel my creativity. I need that friendship and social interaction to fuel my creativity. I need to laugh a little bit. And so, yeah, I would say those 6, Matthew Parker, Graham Jones, Ben Lawrence, Christian Singleton, Nia Marie, and Xander Salos, all dear friends. I couldn't have done it without them. But yeah,
I was going to say, this album sounds to me like it could become a movie. It does have a lot of theatrical feeling. Like there's some just songs that I can just see almost as a scene happening in front of me as I'm hearing it and hearing the story that's being told. By
let's
the
go.
way, not the last track on it, Legend of Atlas,
Yeah,
probably top 3 for me.
man.
Top
So honored.
3. It can't begin to tell you how that particular track hit home for me.
Man,
In the recent days, it has that whole struggle, that back and forth. It's when you're trying to show the love of God, show the grace of God, show the forgiveness of God. But at the same time, you feel, I got to set boundaries. I got to set limits. I can't
Yep.
let this continue going. So where
Bingo.
is that fine line of where between what God is telling me to do and he's telling me to really do both. He's saying, you got to have
Hmm.
certain structures and everything, but he's also saying, be forgiven, be loving. But so that finding that line and that whole point of Legend of Atlas, it's just goes on with all the list. And that's exactly things that I've been dealing with recently. And so that's one of the many things that I say this album, I started listening to it for obviously from a radio station point of view. It's like, let's see the single, which is the one that we're going to start playing. But as I was listening to it personally, that went all out the window. It was a whole different
Man,
experience of listening to it, not for the musical, not for, I got sucked in. So if it was
man.
like a movie, I got drawn in and I was just there watching a 3 hour movie, not realizing 3 hours had gone by type of
So
deal
honored.
thing.
Good Lord, man. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Ever thought of going into the movie version of it?
I ain't got a budget for that. Dude, it would be so much fun. It would be so much fun. It would be a way to create visually in
Yeah.
a way that maybe hopefully would I think I write very visually. I try to. I don't know if I pull it off, but I try to. And it'd be fun to kind of try that universe. I don't know what that looks like yet. I think we'll see what the Lord has, but at least for now, while I don't have a bunch of cameras and a crew that are willing to, run with me on anything, I like this job. It's a fun job, and I'm glad the Lord gave it to me. But really honored about the legend. I appreciate even just your comprehension of it. Genuinely, thank you. And yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? I write this in my mid 20s, faced with a whole bunch of good options. My youth pastor used to say that life's hardest decisions aren't between good and bad, but better and best. And that is just really hard. How do you find the balance between? And the balance between, we're looking for a formula. We're looking for the way to go, okay, well, in this situation, it's always going to be X and never Y. And so if it's between X and Y, I just want to pick X. That's great. That's not faith. Where's the faith in that? Where is God, your thoughts are higher than my thoughts? Where is God, you sovereign over all the universe? Put me here to do one particular thing. What is that one particular thing? I don't know what it is yet. That tightrope that you're walking between those opposite extremes is not formula, it's faith. I want my listeners to live by faith and not by formula. Because if you live by a formula, you don't need Christ. You don't need his redemptive work. You don't need to listen to the Holy Spirit as revealed in his word. You don't need to be in community, being challenged and sharpened and encouraged and loved by other believers. You don't need any of those things that God actually gave you, the ordinary means of grace, to grow. If you're living by formula, you have made yourself into a titan. I don't want my listeners to be titans. I want them to be strong. And it takes strength to be willing to live in the tension that living by faith demands. That's the Legend of Atlas.
How did you discover that this was your purpose?
In terms of like making music or
Yeah.
well, goodness, I don't think it's my purpose at all. No, I think that my purpose is to love Jesus and do what he says. And I think that involves, for at least the last couple years, I've been dropping music for, oh my gosh, like 5 years. That's crazy. I've been making it for close to 11 or 12. And then like actually doing the Spotify thing, go pre-save my song, friends. I've been doing that for about 5 years. And it's a blast. I love it, man. Not my dream. It's a fantastic job and I love it so much. And would I happily do it for the rest of my life? Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. I love doing what I do. Not my dream. My dream is just consistent obedience. And that sounds so spiritual. Good Lord. I just have gotten everything I wanted from this. And that might mean I just lack ambition. It might mean I'm content. I don't really know yet. Let's give it a couple years and figure it out. But I would not say that my purpose is to be a musician. I would not say my purpose is to be a writer. If anything, my purpose would be to be a communicator. I think that God has given me an ability to maybe tell some stories and encourage some people. Right now, music just makes sense in this season. I didn't expect anyone was going to listen to any of this stuff. How would I have known? So thank the Lord for that and the opportunities that he's given me over the last 5 years. But like, what does that look like in 10 years? I don't know. We got to find a new purpose. No, the purpose will always be the same. It's to love the Lord and do what he says. It's the whole point of the book of Ecclesiastes. It's why the legend ends the way it ends. Atlas was heavily informed by the book of Ecclesiastes in the Bible. And it's this guy close to the end of his life. We think it's Solomon. I think it's Solomon. saying, look, guys, it's all vanity is the word he uses. It's hevel. That's the Hebrew word. It's ungraspable. It's smoky. It's vain. It's fleeting. It's going away. Can't touch it with your hands. All of life is that way. And he talks about vanity for 12 chapters. And then he gets to the very end and he says, the end of the matter is this, all has been heard. Fear God and obey his commandments. This is the whole duty of man. And I think he's right. I think right now it looks like making music. That's great. I love making music. I love pushing tiny buttons and make noises and show strangers. It's awesome. And I love helping my friends do it. I have so many friends that I've gotten to make doing this. Praise God. I don't know. He could want me to be a dad. He could want me to be an accountant. Would I be cool with that too? Yeah. There's a lot less music in accounting, but a lot less 10-minute long dramatic spoken words. Hopefully there's less 10-minute dramatic spoken words. I can hardly imagine an accounting spoken word. Anyway, we're not going down that rabbit trail. We're not doing that. But point is, who am I to say so loudly, love Jesus and do what he says if I'm not willing to? And I don't know. Music is just fun. It's not the end all be all. This weekend has been incredible and it's been encouraging after years of effort for people to go, yeah, this vaguely makes sense. That's been really sweet. But what led me to music, I think, could be a different conversation. But as far as purpose, yeah, I don't know.
How did you get into music?
Yeah, iPad family stuff. There's a family iPad, GarageBand on it. Temple Run wasn't fun anymore. Make beats. It was really fun. I like doing that. During COVID, I was still doing that. I had upgraded to not iPad, but computer to make beat. And that was really fun. And buddy Matt Parker put out some remix stems for his song called Snapshot with him and my other friend Jay Steff. And I'm like, hey, this is cool. I'm working like 90 hours a week for my job, plus online classes, plus trying to grapple with whether or not the world is going to explode into a fiery ball of gas because it was 2020.
Yeah.
Happy 2020. And so I remixed Snapshot and put it on SoundCloud, and Matt found it and he liked it and was like, hey, do you want to remix something else for me? I'm like, well, you better believe I would. That'd be great. It'd be so much fun. And did that. Matt's ended up becoming a dear friend. Same with Jay Steff. That's how I met folks like Xander Salos and Gladden and Ben Lawrence and others that I could for sure name. Yeah, that's how I got started. It was really fun. And then I've started going, hey, what if I sang my own lyrics instead of waiting for somebody else's top line? That's a vocal track, by the way, a top line. And what if I just sang my own lyrics? And then I tried that. It was fun. And I just kept doing that.
And now you're doing it, I guess, somewhat paying it forward because I saw you have the remix contest going on.
Yeah, my buddy Chris Holland. Dude, I love that guy. Isn't he great? Our song Waiting Room, this is recording on July 28th. By the time this goes out, the deadline is August 1st. So I don't know if people would be able to enter. But at the same time, oh my goodness, so much fun. And yeah, it is kind of a way to pay it forward. I didn't even put that two and two together, brother. That's really fun.
Legend of Max. How did that, like, in between?
Does it fit in the story? No, not really.
How did that happen then? Like, how did you put the story on pause and say, I'm going to do this?
Yeah, effectively. It was just fun. Wanted a chance to be able to do something different for a change. So I went through 5 Psalms, and Legend of Max is Psalms in English that rhymes, and hopefully just a chance to get a semi-annoying song stuck in your head that forces you to memorize the psalm. That makes you read the psalm differently. The fun part about Max that does kind of relate to the story is if you look at the track list, it does make an acrostic that says decoy. So Daybreaker, El Dorado, Crowley, Oh Wonder, Your Eyes. Decoy, you got. It was really fun.
Gotcha.
I was very satisfied with that. But Max was so fun. Max is my dog. He's a good boy. He is
Kind of
going
dog.
a golden doodle. He's a tiny little black golden doodle, and he's going absolutely ballistic in the background right now. But like, he's awesome. I wanted to name a like Christian EP something silly to show that my words compared to Christ's are comparatively silly. My words have value. They sure do, but not compared to the words of scripture. Not even close. So plus the title Legend of Max is just, I think it's hysterical. And if I'm the only one, then that's great. But I was really excited about it. But
I
Yep,
saw
that's
that. I
Max.
kind of assumed that that was your dog because I saw the picture, the
Yeah,
artwork
the
for it.
picture.
So
Yeah,
I'm a big, big dog lover.
let's go.
I love dogs. I tend to think that dogs, if humans could be more like dogs, we would be a so much better society.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
When I got a real quick story, I got a dog. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be fighting with this dog so it doesn't dart out the door. I want to get all, so I learned all there was possible to learn of, I guess, dog psychology, the dog whisperer stuff.
I was gonna say the dog whisperer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, I literally got a apprentice who learned right underneath him to come and help me train my dog because Caesar was too much money
That's
for me. So I was
let's
like, okay,
go.
what's the next best thing? And it's like, okay, there's a lineage there. Fine, let's go with
That's
somebody.
awesome. Dog
I,
whisperer lineage.
there
That's
is, there
crazy.
really is. It's like when you look for dogs trainers, and if they happen to have come from his lineage of training,
Yeah.
it's like a whole thing. In any event,
Yeah.
I've learned so many lessons through dogs, just the way that they just kind of move on. They love, they accept this moment for what it is. And the minute that it's over, then it's over and that's it. And they move forward. You know, I always tell this one story. One of my dogs that just passed last year, actually. Uh, Long story short, locked him outside the house by accident, left him in the backyard. I don't know how many hours must have went by before we realized he was missing. I opened the door. There he is, tail wagging,
Yep.
looking at me. He just comes on in and happily and walks in, goes to his bed, and just like nothing ever happened. And I'm like, the first thing I thought was, and my wife took the brunt of this. I was like, you know, if that had been you that I locked out by accident, the very first thing that would have came out of your mouth is, "What's wrong with you? Why did you lock me out?" Da da da. And any human, I would have probably done the same thing. Why are you locking me out? And I would have complained and argued about the fact that I had been locked out. This dude looked at me and was like, "Thank you so much. I'm happy to be in the house." And that was his approach to it, and forgot all about the past part of it. And the same thing when they have a fight at the dog park or anything, they may have a fight at the dog park. If you separate them properly and you keep them by each other and realize they let it go, they move on. That's it.
Yeah.
It's gone. That was the past, and let's go play again, type of deal thing. Anyway, that was my whole little canine part. That again, just to add on to the
Let's
editing
go.
portion of this thing. All right, man. So I'm not gonna keep taking more of your time because I'm telling you, I could pick your brain and be here talking to you like all day. I definitely would love to do this again so we could get a part two going.
Yeah.
But real quick, I guess in order for, well, the remix contest is going to be over on August 1st. So if you're seeing this after August 1st, try
Wah,
again.
wah. Yeah.
Follow Sam on his Instagram. He'll let you know when the next one is, and they can follow you. Where can they follow you, know what you're up to, keep up with you?
Yeah, if you find yourself lost on Instagram /bored/ I'm sick of my meme pages, at Sam Bowman Music is where you can find me on all platforms. Some white guy with curly hair and makes nerdy music. If you want to give that a follow, it's a really easy way to stay up to date on what I'm up to. Genuinely so thankful for y'all's time and investment in my music. It's really an honor even to hear what role my stuff has gotten to play in TheVibeOnline. Like, that's crazy for me to hear, and what an encouragement as well. So glad that I've been able to be at least a little resource over the time y'all have been around.
Really thank you for what you're doing. I really thank you for being obedient to the Lord, for following what the Lord has put in your heart to do, and continue doing it the way you're doing it. I'm telling you, from the musical point of view and from, to me, you have impacted me in a way than you will probably ever know.
Man.
Just by your obedience to God and your understanding and speaking and saying what God puts in your heart and in your mind. It definitely, you know, one day in heaven, I'll be able to look back and be like, dude, remember when we did that podcast way back when?
Yeah, we talked about the dogs and
Look,
Buc-ee's.
dude, you got me here. And now that we'll have a better understanding of all the things, you'll be able to understand and know and see back what all the behind the scene things that you never really got to notice, and how it actually took root, and how it really has, me personally, I'll say, definitely meant something. And I'm sure it will be as I continue listening to your album, as I continue listening to your music, and as you continue putting music out. And hopefully one day I'll be able to see the movie.
Yeah.
And or some kind of theatrical version of it in some kind of a way. 'Cause I'm telling you,
Man.
that needs to happen.
It'd be
Now,
fun.
the other thing that I was going to say, I saw somewhere that you dad joke enthusiast.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so before, I can't let you get off of here without you hitting me with one.
No.
At least one.
No.
Come on.
Okay, well, okay. Here's the deal. When, like, if you were to ask me like what my favorite movie was, the expectation would probably be it's some kind of movie you already know. Like, I could tell you my favorite movie is Inception. You're like, oh, I've seen Inception. It's great. I've heard of Inception. My friends like Inception. If you ask me what my favorite dad joke is, it better be one you hadn't heard before.
That's not true, because if
Or
it's
else
a
it's a-
good one,
I do think that what did the Atlantic Ocean say to the Pacific Ocean? Nothing, it just waved. Is great. I think it's awesome. I think it's a great dad joke. I will stand by this.
you know what? Yes, I will concur. That is a great one.
That's what I've got for you. That's what I've got for you.
We'll leave it at that one there.
That's
Sam,
awesome.
thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Actually, no, this one is going to kind of rewind it one more time real quickly here.
All right.
And this one, I promise, will be the last one. TheVibeOnline.com listeners, one of the things that we have been hearing a lot from is the fact that we're putting out music quickly, new artists that people may not be familiar with. If they wanted to explain what your music was, how would you explain your music?
Stories. My music is stories. Sometimes they're about me, sometimes they're about you, sometimes they're about us, and I hope they're all about him. Sometimes they sound EDM, sometimes they sound synth pop, sometimes they sound like gentle folk, but nearly all of them are stories. And I hope that those stories point to the great story of the gospel. Christ, in his love, came to die for sinners, not to make bad people good, but to make dead people.
With words, bro. Very excellent with words. I admire
you.
that.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you once again so much. Appreciate you, brother.